The Art Beat, a weekly program putting you in touch with artists and arts events from the J.T. and Margaret Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts at Texas Tech University. Hello and welcome to The Art Beat on KLZK FM 105.7. I hope you're having a good weekend so far. This is your host, Peter Martins, and I am pleased to be here with my colleague from the School of Music, Dr. Christopher J. Smith. Hello.
Hey, it's good to see you all.
Great for you to be here. Thanks for coming over from the musicology area. And among many things that I'd like to chat about today is an upcoming ensemble performance by a group that you head up called the
Tech Folk Orchestra. That's the official name. Formerly the TTU Celtic Ensemble, but as the ensemble sort of grew and morphed and incorporated more instruments, it became kind of this chamber orchestra, hence Tech Folk Orchestra.
Okay. So it's an outgrowth of what many of our listeners might have experienced in the past as the Celtic Ensemble. That's good to know. So, you think of an orchestra, right? And we have definitions for the, kind of romantic orchestra that we've inherited and still have around us, and then we also have ideas about folk. So help us put these two things together.
That's a great question, Pete, actually. Well, the idea of an orchestra is of a concerted group of instruments, typically of different types, all playing together on a single piece of music. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, the definition becomes a little bit slippery. My ensemble began, as you said, as the TTU Celtic Ensemble. And when it was first founded at the very welcome suggestion of Dr. Lisa Rogers, she asked if we would like to do a Celtic ensemble. It was initially conceived to be something that would be primarily folkloric instruments playing folkloric musics.
Gotcha.
Mostly musics of Northwest Europe, including the 7 Celtic nations. But as you well know, we're a big band, choir, and orchestra school.
Right.
And so we had brass players, and we had double reeds players, and we had players of other stringed instruments beyond the fiddle. Mm-hmm. And so over the course of not very much time, a fairly swift progression, it became apparent to me that if I was going to maximize opportunity for all the students in the School of Music and beyond the School of Music who might have interest in participating, I had to rethink instrumentation.
Gotcha.
And so it got bigger, but the sound palette also got wider. So now it's a full chamber orchestra, winds, brass, strings, percussion, SATB vocals, and also dancers, because so much of the music that we play is dance music. And what that did was it let me involve the trumpeters and the tubists and the trombone players and the French horn players and the oboe players and the clarinetists, et cetera, so on and so forth. But it also set up a certain challenge, right?
Right.
Because the folkloric tradition, the tradition that we call vernacular music, where the music is learned and taught and passed on by ear and in the memory, by demonstration. Someone shows you and then you imitate. You do it and maybe do it wrong and then someone corrects you, right? Demonstration, imitation, critique. That is a very viable method. And as you well know, being a jazz player, it is a way of learning that provides unique insights. The challenge is that not all of our students have those skills. And not all of our students in a 4-year music degree, which is quite tightly constrained in terms of curriculum, they don't all have the time. And so I had to sort of imagine or reimagine both what folkloric procedures would be, folkloric practices, but also what a folkloric ensemble might look like. And so on the one side, I'm bringing in all of these other instruments, especially brass and double reeds. But on the other side, I'm thinking, well, they can't all learn by ear. I can't have 36 players all learning by ear. It would be wonderful if we had all the time in the world, but they don't have it, nor do I. And so I thought, well, I've got to find a meeting place, right? My intention, my aesthetic, my sort of artistic goal is to maintain the folkloric aesthetics and procedures and honestly kind of the community values. Like, what is it about playing folkloric musics in any part of the world together that is good for communities? Well, people can be involved and they can have intergenerational learning, and more accomplished people can accommodate less accomplished people, and everybody grows and you build community as well as building an ensemble. And that's a wonderful thing, and I don't want to lose that, and I never want to lose that across the whole Vernacular Music Center, which I organize. We never want to lose those sort of community values, right?
Right.
But we have constraints of time, and we're not all living in the village together. We're on a very intense schedule.
From little on, right, to your point about time, I mean, this is, students are here for exactly 4 years in most cases.
And a certain number of credits, and that's it.
And that's not how those traditions work.
Yeah, because we live in a culture in which that kind of opportunity is much less available. Right. And so I concluded, well, maybe there could be a meeting place. Maybe we could take the instrumentation of the chamber orchestra, winds, brass, strings, percussion, also vocals, also dancers, and the aesthetics and the repertoires of very, very, very folkloric music that's just unreconstructed right off the field recordings.
Sure.
And find a meeting place in the score, the music score, like an orchestral score.
Right.
Now that has opportunities. It also has pitfalls. The opportunities are players of winds, brass, strings, and percussion, students maybe who just did band or choir or orchestra in secondary school. They can come in and they kind of have a skill set that will take them through this concerted music, right? But the pitfall, the huge pitfall, or real risk is to avoid the potential to really do violence to the folkloric tradition's aesthetics and values and priorities. Like, are we dumbing it down? Are we homogenizing it? Are we straightening it out? Are we standardizing it? All of which are things that make us in the VMC very, very stressed. We don't like those ideas. And so it became my job, kind of sort of my mechanical job, sort of my artistic aspiration, both, to find a way to score, to write in a music score, in an orchestral score, for a traditional instrumentation, orchestra instrumentation, but to maintain the aesthetics and the rhythmic values and the complexities and the beautiful sort of idiosyncrasies of the folkloric musics. So we do things like we take field recordings that were made by Percy Granger in 1907 on wax cylinder, and we pitch shift those to their concert pitch. And then we play with the orchestra. We play live to those recordings.
Oh, interesting.
Because for example, that's just an example, but that's a way for the young people to really have to deal real directly with a field recording from 1907 of a man who was born in 1847, but suit their musicianship to that person's music making, and vice versa. And so the meeting place, I'm not trained formally as a conductor. I had the same undergraduate conducting and music arranging training that most of us get.
Right.
But everything else is kind of a process of discovery. Between me and the ensemble, I have a very wide range of skill sets, from people who have quite modest skills to like doctoral students in the School of Music and people who play in the USO and the LSO. And somehow the score has to be a meeting place for them too.
Sure.
So it's a meeting place between the very folkloric, hardcore values and aesthetics and the mechanical procedures that maximize access for our young developing musicians, and a meeting place between very, very skillful players, doctoral students, and real virtuosi, and people who are very avocational. And the wonderful thing about this, and this is the last thing I'll say about it just now, is that our director, Andy Stetson, gets that.
Director of the School of Music.
Yeah,
right?
I don't always, we're over there in our weird little corner of the Vernacular Music Center.
Right.
I don't always know if people beyond our little weird corner understand or really comprehend why we are doing it the way we're doing it. But I remember Dr. Stetson. I was in earshot of Dr. Stetson. He was talking to somebody, and somebody said something about the various ensembles in the Vernacular Music Center. And he said, where else in the School of Music could an entry-level trumpet player stand next to the best trumpet player in the School of Music? And I thought, oh, okay. I mean, I thought in my head, thank you, Dr. Stetson. But I also kind of thought, oh, okay, that's a legitimate artistic priority. That there's a priority to make good music. There's a priority to develop as players and as artists to the highest level. But there's also can be a priority, God bless Andy Stetson, that people get to play music together. And they make a community of the more skilled and the less skilled, and the more experienced and the less experienced, and of all these different instruments. And they make a community between themselves, and they make a community between themselves and the past. And that's like the heart of what the TFO seeks to do.
Okay. Well, thank you for that full and rich exposition. And it's a fascinating combination of the written score, as you've said, and then also having students engage with these historical recordings, which at this point is, the technology is there to pitch shift and the things you're talking about. That probably is a bit of an equalizer between, as you're saying, the best trumpet player in the school and someone who's avocational. They all have to listen to the same thing and respond. And it may be that the person who's at the top end of the ensembles is very, very good at our kind of conventional notated and scored and evaluated and all these things that we come up doing. And there may be some folks who can't maybe find their way around the instrument as adeptly, but are really good at that. Like they can listen, right?
Yeah, and I think the young people who participate get that.
Yeah.
I have Dr. Lisa Rogers, who was both the person who sort of mentored the construction of the folk orchestra all those years ago. Is also, as you know, the chair of our percussion division. Dr. Rogers will often send me players from the percussion division, players who are quite accomplished players, but maybe they haven't played this, or maybe they haven't played drum set, or maybe they need to work on their hand drumming. And so we're kind of, I like to think that at different echelons of musical accomplishment, we are kind of a service opportunity. It's certainly an enrichment. So many of our students are music education students, and they have a charge. They're going to receive a teaching certification for the state of Texas. And they have a charge that when they go into schools, they are expected to be able to demonstrate improvisation, learning by ear, group collaborative work, and music across different cultural contexts. And so the TFO, like the other VMC ensembles, presents to students who are in a very, very demanding program with not a lot of wiggle room in the schedule. They can come in for 3 hours a week and 2 concerts a semester and be engaged with these other musics that the National Association themselves say they should experience.
Right. But hasn't quite somehow been fully integrated into a curricular model yet. But that's a different conversation, right? Could we talk about, well, make sure we don't leave this to the very end, the details of the upcoming
Absolutely.
show?
Sure. We'll be playing March the 30th, which I believe is a Monday night, March the 30th, in Hemley Recital Hall at 8 p.m. It's a full program of new music, dance music, listening music, and instrumental music. We have a couple of guests joining us. Angela Mariani, who is also a member of the School of Music faculty and directs the Historical Performance Ensemble, will be singing a song that Dr. Mariani and I first learned in 1979. From a recording.
Okay.
And we will also be joined by a guest artist who I have been playing with since 1966. My oldest musical friend is a fiddle player named Larry Young, will be coming. He's a historical performance specialist.
Oh, wonderful.
Colonial fiddle player in Salem, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And about 40 years ago, Dr. Mariani and Larry Young and I were in an ensemble together, and he's coming to play and sing some of the songs from that repertoire.
Wow.
So we're playing some old music, some very old music, some remarkably old music from 40 years ago with a bunch of young people whose parents maybe had been born when we first made a record.
Right. So yeah, what layers of old are we talking about here? Right. Oh, that's fascinating. Okay, so that's coming up on the 30th as your maybe main concert of the season here.
The one thing I should mention is we have another concert coming up in April. I just want to hip everybody in the radio audience to know this. We are bringing an incredible percussive dancer named Sandy Silva from Canada, who is a maker of dance films, one of the world's great exponents of percussive dance, hard shoe dancing, leads an ensemble that performs all over the world and makes these site-specific dance films. And she's coming late in April. So folks in the audience do want to be listening out for that. It'll be a great kind of lecture recital.
Interesting. So percussive dancing. I'm guessing that we might know this colloquially as tap dancing.
Yeah,
more than
it's
anything.
those kinds of traditions. Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that sounds fascinating. We'll look forward to that right at the end of the spring semester. It sounds like. And is there a film component to her visit?
There is. She has a series of films that she makes. As I say, they're site specific. They're site inspired. So in the Burren in County Clare, or in Turkey, or in Belgrade, they will go out into these environments and then they will make a choreography that involves movement and percussive dance and singing. And she's bringing a set of these films, and she has invited my orchestra to play arranged versions arranged for our instrumentation of the soundtracks for those. So it's going to be heavily collaborative right at the end of the semester. So we'll see how that all goes.
Interesting. And I imagine the translation job of the music into the TFO medium falls to you, I'm guessing.
Well, it does. And, I was thinking about this when I was heading over to the Majan Theater Complex. I've had really great opportunities over the years with my own ensemble to collaborate with both theater and dance, and also with the School of Art, and also with, say, Media and Communications. We did a live improvised score for the 1922 silent horror classic Nosferatu. Under the aegis of the Flatland Film Festival, which was at that time sponsored by the College of Creative Media Industries. And we've done a lot of music for theater productions here, especially with Dr. Bill Gelber. We did an original score for Mother Courage, and we did music for several of his productions, of the Shakespeare productions. The Historical Performance Ensemble played for Much Ado About Nothing.
Right.
And so that opportunity to bring music into the space of theater and dance and film and installations is really part of our interdisciplinary mission through the whole Vernacular Music Center across not just of our ensembles, although yes, of course our ensembles, but also our collaborations and our co-authorship of things and our staging of events. And that's all a way that we can interface with the wider college, with the university community. We're the only officially recognized research center in the College of Visual and Performing Arts, the Vernacular Music Center, with sponsorship from the Office of the Vice President for Research. And what that means is we have the good fortune, we have the opportunity to be kind of a nexus, a meeting place.
Right.
Just like the score for the TFO is a meeting place,
Right.
Well, the VMC becomes a meeting place for external funders and community organizations and other organizations across the campus and other esteemed colleagues within the college.
Right, and good, we're talking about outreach and engagement a lot more at TAC, and it obviously is a good opportunity for that. So our time has flown by here, as it tends to when we're having really great conversation. So I want to thank Chris Smith for telling us the details about the Tech Folk Orchestra, the TFO, and kind of some of the philosophy behind it, its birth, and its continued existence, and look forward to seeing everyone on stage on March the 30th.
March the 30th, Hemley Hall at 8 o'clock.
Excellent. All right, thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Pete.
The Art Beat, a weekly program putting you in touch with artists and arts events from the J.T. and Margaret Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts at Texas Tech University.